It's a very hot afternoon. It's 30 odd degrees. Air conditioner's on, but it's hot. Anyway, I'd like to thank A Current Affair for the excellent video they put up last night in relation to Mornington Council, where this guy, this man who owns the land, is living on flat land, and they said there's going to be landslides. Well, I'm not an expert, so I don't know. We've seen some real landslides further down the Mornington Peninsula where buildings have come down, and that's a year or two ago now, and they're still there. So anyway, but this video really explains how crazy councils have gone, and people have to remember that they are private corporations. Not only are they got an ABN number here in Australia, but they're registered with the District Corporation of London, with Dun & Bradstreet, which is an independent country. Remember that we've got the Vatican, Washington, and the District Corporation of London are independent cities. And that even goes back to 1066, the Battle of Hastings. William the Conqueror, he was in England, and he's Albert Godwin, I think was his name, but they were both friends, and they were both, Godwin was the Earl of Essex. So it wasn't an invasion, really. They were over and back to Normandy. But anyway, Godwin came back, and he got the king's ear, and he was made king when William didn't have a second name. He was the true king, apparently. But anyway, they had a fight over it. So the Battle of Hastings lasted for 9 hours, and William the Conqueror, he became known as, won. But since then, law and order and common law have really thrived from that date on. The records were kept. Now, the District Corporation of London at the time, the walls of London were never entered by William. He let it stand as an independent country, and in 1067, he recognized it as such. But anyway, anything registered in these independent cities, especially the District Corporation of London, have no authority outside those walls because it's another country. The councils, our so-called government, I won't list the list, but everything is listed in there, and you've got to look for it yourself, right? At the end of the video, I put a little bit of AI up, and now people say, oh, it's AI. It doesn't matter. It's rather than me reading out the document, boring you to death, it reads the document for you and tells you that these corporations, these councils have gone completely loony, and they do not have the authority to do, because you have to have a grant of power from the Crown. But Gough Whitlam removed the Queen, got sacked. Bob Hawke took an oath to Elizabeth, but he created the Act of 1986, and without a referendum, got rid of everything. So there's no Crown, no grant of power. Now look at this video. It's interesting, and just watch the bit of AI. So the only way back is through common law. Stop going down these idiotic rabbit holes and fighting the system, fighting the police, fighting the courts, fighting everybody. You're wasting your time fighting this. Do it properly, and do it lawfully, and do it peacefully. Anyway, before I sweat to death and bore you to death, bye for now. Watch the video and share it. I know people are getting so apathetic, it's too much trouble, but just stand there and try and hold your eyes open and learn something. Sorry, guys. Bye for now.
Martin lives on 15 acres of land that's flat for as far as the eye can see. But he's being pushed to tipping point because council has declared his property is a landslide risk. Have a look. You be the judge.
Welcome to Flatlands. Now, does this look like a landslide risk to you? The road's all flat. This property's all flat. It makes the whole thing hard to fathom.
A landslide is the collapse of a mass of rock or earth from a cliff, mountain or steep slope. But here at Martin Scanlan's 15 acres, I can't see any mountains, cliffs or steep slopes. So why is this a landslide risk?
It's just ridiculous.
Martin's sprawling estate on Melbourne's Mornington Peninsula was once an orchard. Now it's just home.
Pitch. You could play lawn bowls on here.
Yeah. I wouldn't mind a bit of lawn bowls. It'll be good, yeah.
How would you describe your land?
You could walk around the block. I can mow every part of it.
Which is why he was so surprised to receive this text message from council.
It says that my land is subject to severe landslide that may cause injury or death To do that by text is just unforgivable.
Martin's land is among 33,000 properties the Mornington Peninsula Shire has deemed as highly susceptible to landslides, despite, in his case, the glaring obvious.
No consultation. In the text message, it says that you cannot, you're not allowed to have input into this.
4 locations on Martin's land have been identified by council in the new proposed erosion management overlay. One is located near a slab of concrete on his driveway, the rest on his green patches of paradise.
But this is the spot, probably about a square metre here, that's subject to landslide.
Is it laughable?
It's laughable if it wasn't so serious. It says it's basing the whole assessment on a 2012 report. No survey, no visit to the land to see what's going on in reality.
The erosion management overlays used to cover just this much of the peninsula. Now, the latest proposal covers a lot more.
They say it affects 6% of land, but when you look at it, it affects about 66,000 residents, which is nearly 40% of the population of the Mornington Peninsula.
Is this going to cost people money?
I'm now having to pay for a surveyor and a geotechnical expert to confirm that this land is flat.
Martin fears insurance premiums will rise and properties' values will fall.
There are people who want to downsize and move on, but they'll be stuck or they'll be selling at a reduced price. That to me is quite a big thing to not take into account when the council's putting in an interim overlay. They should really consider us as residents.
But council believe that's exactly what they're doing, following a catastrophic landslide in January this year in the Bayside suburb of Macrae, 28 kilometres from Martin's property.
Thinking back about it scares the hell out of me.
Multiple homes were damaged in the disaster, one destroyed and a council worker seriously injured. At the time, people like Paul spoke to A Current Affair after they were evacuated from their homes.
We're the helpless and hapless people at the bottom of the hill.
Still today, affected couples remain unable to return home, but their location beside a cliff face is in stark contrast to Martin's property.
It appears to be a reaction and a box-ticking exercise, a reaction to Macrae.
Council said,
"The erosion management overlay is an interim measure only, as required by the state government. Mapping will be refined over the coming months, and some properties may no longer be considered at risk."
I want them to withdraw the amendment, reconsider, and do their refinements before they submit them.
Whether the new erosion zones are officially added to the overlay will be left to the state government to decide. In a statement, a government spokesperson told us the interim overlay was a recommendation of the Independent Board of Inquiry and is currently under consideration.
If they're going to do something, they should do it right.
It is madness, right? And hopefully your pain is short-lived, Martin.
Mornington Council, like every other so-called local government in Victoria, is a private corporation registered with Dun & Bradstreet, not a lawful arm of the Crown. Without a grant of power from the people, a private corporation cannot override the rights of men and women or interfere with private property under the guise of public authority. Now they are declaring level acreage as a possible landslide risk, a claim that is speculative, unproven, and amounts to unlawful interference with possession, which remains 9/10 of the law. Water authorities are in the same position, private corporations, and they cannot force conditions, classifications, or restrictions upon landholders without lawful authority, a court order, or proof of actual harm, loss, or injury. A corporation making assumptions or hypothetical claims it may slide one day is not evidence, not law, and not authority. Any attempt to impose restrictions on land titles, building rights, farming, or occupancy without a lawful court of record is potential trespass, fraud, and overreach. Time to remind them, no crown equals no lawful government equals no grant of power. Private companies cannot dictate terms to sovereign men and women or interfere with their land.